Magic Treehouse Book Number 8, Blizzard of the Blue Moon, by Mary Poe Osborne. Chapter 9. It's Dub. One duck was gray with black and white markings. The other had a glossy green head and a rust-colored chest. Both had orange webbed feet and long yellow bills. Quack, quack, they said. Anne looked over her shoulder at Jack. I memorized the duck rhyme a while ago, she said with a grin. I knew it would become handy some day. Jack laughed. Good work, he said. The two ducks waddled around on their bright orange feet, quacking. Answering cries came from overhead. A flock of ducks were flying through the clear November sky. Go on, bellowed Greta, and shouted to the two mallards. Go with them now. The mallards quacked at Annie. Go on, Jack chimed in. Fly south for the winter. You'll have fun, we promise. The two mallards quacked and flapped their wings. First one and then the other rose off the ground. They flew high into the sky. Jack caught his breath as he watched the mallards soar away, flying south over the New York City. Jack put her arms around the unicorn's neck. Then she rested her head on his silky white mane. You're safe now, she said, but you have to leave us. I have to show you the way to Camelot. The problem is I don't know how to do that. Ah-ooga, ah-ooga. Jack looked over at an avenue that bordered the park. A big yellow taxi was parked at the curb. The driver was honking his horn. He waved through the window. What's that guy want? Said Annie, sitting up. I don't know, said Jack. The driver jumped out of the car. He wore a cap and a plaid scarf. Hey, it's the same driver who dazzled us outside the cloisters, said Annie. The passenger of the door opened, and the girl stepped up. She was wearing a purple shawl. And that's the girl who told us to get off the wrong subway stop, said Jack. The taxi driver and the girl in the shawl both waved at Jack and Annie. Then the driver lifted off his hat and pulled out his scarf. He had red curly hair and a wonderful familiar green. The girl pulled out the shawl off her head. Beautiful long black curls flowed down her waist. It's them, said Jack. Teddy, Kathleen, Annie shouted. Jack and Annie slid off the unicorn's back onto the snowy ground. The two enchanters ran across the snow to them. Annie threw her arms around Teddy, and Kathleen threw her arms around Jack. The four of them laughed and talked at the same time. That was you, that was you, that was us. I'm sorry I told you to get off at the wrong stop, said Kathleen, but Teddy was waiting for you there. And I'm sorry I left you stranded in the storm, said Teddy, but I knew you'd find your way to Cloisters. We thought you guys were the two kids following us, Ballard and Glinda, said Annie. Yes, we just saw you turn them into ducks, said Kathleen. Who were they? Said Jack. Apprentices of the Dark Wizard, said Kathleen. We didn't know they were following you. Even Merlin didn't know. They were pretty creepy, said Jack. Yeah, but they actually helped us with a meaning too, said Annie. They knew the unicorn's name. We thought it was Stephen Flower of Rome, said Jack. I told Merlin that the clue might be a bit difficult, said Teddy. Stephen Flower is the ancestor in Latin, the language of old Rome. So did Grindelwald Ballard knew London? Asked Annie. Hardly, said Teddy. The unicorn's name is famous throughout the other world. He is known for his great magic, and for his goodness, said Kathleen. We know about his goodness, said Annie. When he ran through the streets with his horn in the air, the blizzard ended, and everyone we passed cheered up and seemed to get a bit more hopeful. The Dark Wizard was trying to capture the answers so he could keep the unicorn's good magic for the rest of the world, said Kathleen. Merlin will be very pleased that you have foiled the wizard's plan. In truth, I believe he would like to thank you himself, said Teddy. He turned towards the yellow taxi parked by the curb. The back door of the car opened, and two grown-ups stepped out. A tall England woman wearing a wine-colored cloak, and a man in dark blue robe. The man had long white beard, and the woman had long white hair. More than Merlin, whispered Jack. As the wizard and magical librarian of Camelot walked across the snow, the ancestor stepped forward to greet them. He bowed his head. Merlin tenderly stroked the unicorn's white neck. Morgan and Faye turned to Jack and Annie. "Hello," she said, smiling. "It's good to see you both." Her lovely voice washed over Jack like music. "You too," said Annie, hugging the enchantress. "What are you and Merlin doing here?" Jack asked. "I've always wanted to visit New York City," said Morgan. "Teddy had just given us a quiet ride in that taxi." Merlin had to tell him to slow down several times. Morgan laughed and turned towards Merlin. "Quite a ride indeed," said Merlin. "Greetings to you both, Jack and Annie." "Greetings," they said. "Thank you for saving my beloved Dionysus," said Merlin. "Long ago, he was stolen from Camelot by evildoers. He was rescued by magic weavers in the Netherlands. To keep him safe, they used their art to hide him in their tapestry. I knew I could trust you two to set him free on the day the spell was going to end, but your mission turned out to be more dangerous than I intended. I did not know that the Dark Wizard had sent his apprentices to follow you and capture the unicorn." "Poor Grindelwald," said Annie. "Now they're ducks." "Oh, do not worry," said Teddy. "The spell will wear off in a few days, and they'll find their way home." "Yes," said Ghastly, "and I'm sure that the Dark Wizard will have some other works planned for them." "Aye," said Merlin, "but they will no longer have the use of their black robe." He picked the robe from the ground and handed it to Teddy. "Take this back to Camelot and see that it is destroyed." "Gladly," said Teddy. "It must be terrible work for the Dark Wizard," said Annie. She looked at Merlin. "I'm glad we work for you instead." Merlin smiled. "And so am I," he said. "On your last 4 missions, you and Jack have proved how to use magic wisely, and for that I not only trust you with one of Camelot's greatest treasures." Merlin pulled out a bright wand from his robe. "I give you the wand of Dionysus," he said. "As you can see, the wand is made in the shape of the unicorn's horn. It has a bit of his magic in it." Merlin held the silver wand out to Jack and Annie. Jack took the wand from Merlin. It burned in his hand. It was cold or warmer. He couldn't tell which. "With the help of the wand, you can make your own magic," said Merlin. "But you can only use it after you have tried your hardest," said Morgan. "And remember that it can be only used for another's good." "We'll remember," breathed Annie. "Thank you," said Jack. He unbuckled his bare face and carefully placed the silver wand inside. "We must leave you now," said Merlin. He turned to Teddy and Cassie. "You may ride Dionysus home to Camelot. That'll be a long, short leave. But first, I would like to drive that taxi over New York City myself. Morgan, will you join me?" "Indeed," said Morgan, "but drive a bit more slowly than Teddy, please." "I promise nothing," said Merlin. He looked at Jack and Anne. "Good evening to you, my friends. I will call you again soon." "Bye," said Annie and Jack. Merlin took Morgan's arm, and the two walked back to the taxi and climbed into the front seat. The big yellow car sputtered and then took off wildly. As they cantered up the avenue, Merlin blew his horn.